welcome to another episode of Creeps, Creatures, and Haunts.
Oh my.
Today's episode, we are going to be talking about our recent trip to Gettysburg. I had never been there before. This was your first time too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, we're both first-timers there. It's kind of a spur-of-the-moment thing. We went to Hershey, PA. If you're interested in knowing about that, we have a video on that as well. We didn't do. I don't think I'm doing a podcast of that one. I think that'll just be a video form. Yeah, I don't know. Probably just video form. So check that on the YouTube page if you're interested in hearing about our trip to Hershey, PA, and Hershey Park and all that. But this one's just going to be focused on Gettysburg. We weren't there. We were there for basically a full day and then a couple hours. Second day before we left.
Yeah.
Before we drove home, because we had a 5-hour drive ahead of us. So we didn't want to stay there real long because we wanted to get home. At least a little decent time. But yeah, obviously, pretty much everybody knows that Gettysburg is just super haunted. Just,
oh my God.
Just all of it. Just everything's just haunted.
Just everything. There's so many battlefields.
So many
just drive around and you're like, there's where somebody died. There's where somebody died. It's like
it's quite eerie, and the history there is so rich, and man. It's just a very interesting place, and I really wish that we would have done that as our vacation instead of Hershey, PA. More time there. So we definitely plan on going back. Because, like I said, we just were there, and I'm like, this is really cool. Why don't we just get a hotel and just stay here for the next? And then we're like, yeah, let's do that. And we want to do a ghost hunt as well, so we're going to talk about that a bit here too. And there will be a video, or the video will be uploaded before this of the ghost hunt we did there. But I felt like, oh man, you could spend so much time just going to all the different places. There's so many daytime bus tours and stuff like that. There's so many different companies that do ghost tours. Really, I don't think I've ever been to a place where they really revel in the haunted history of a place as much.
Yeah, really. Usually it's kind of off to the side where it's like, The only other place I've ever seen this as much is New Orleans. For obvious reasons.
Nowlands, yeah.
Yeah, and Gettysburg was crazy with the ghost tours and stuff like that. The one site
every night of the week they have one.
Yeah, the one they're $10 for an hour tour, and they had 10 of them you could choose.
A lot of tours.
From.
A lot of different tours. And there's multiple different companies. So there's some that only do it on the weekends as well. Because there's bus tours that go on the weekends. I don't think there's any that I could find any bus tours for the week.
No.
But yeah, oh my God, there's just so many. Also lots of, we'll talk more about spooky stuff, but they also have this wine passport thing, which was super up my alley. That's I love wine tastings and I love things like that. It's very reminiscent of Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, where they have this theirs was, I forget how they did it. It wasn't a booklet for them, was it? I don't remember how it was.
It was flyers, and you had to get a sign off or a stamp for each place that you went to. Whereas this passport was, you got a stamp for each thing that you sampled.
Yeah.
And certain places had more than just one thing. The first place we went to, he ended up getting
one. I got 5 stamps.
5 stamps. So I ended up getting 4.
So it's wine, mead, beer, a spirit, and a cider.
Yeah.
So there's 5 things altogether. Yep.
Yeah, and he got the only way you could get the spirit one is you had to get a mixed drink, and he ended up getting a mixed drink, and that's how we got the 5th one.
So good. I don't remember what it was, but it was a coconut orange creamsicle is the best way to do it. So good.
Really good.
So freaking good. But I love the passport. It's cute. I'll put a little picture in here if you're watching the video form. You can see it. Just adorable. And then we ate it, and this isn't a food review, but I'm talking about it because we went... It was called The Pub, right? Just The Pub, I think. That was the name of it, The Pub.
Yeah, The Pub.
And man, that building was so freaking old.
And blue.
I'm sure it's haunted as well,
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there's a place I walked into that I was like, yeah, this one's not haunted. You walk in, you're
I'm pretty sure every place that we went into was haunted in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, yeah. And it's just such a cool town. The pub was really good. If you're there, even though it might not look the best, oh my God, get their poutine. Holy shit.
Gosh.
God, we ate way too much. Everywhere we went on vacation, but damn, the pub.
I gained 4 pounds.
Yeah. The meatloaf was good too. Yeah, get the meatloaf, get that. I don't even remember. We just got a lot of stuff and it was all great. But yeah. Anywho, I will say going to because at first we went to the Cemetery Hill battlefield, right?
Yes.
It was the one we kind of went to first. And that one's like one of the smaller ones. And we went through the cemetery, and the cemetery there was just absolutely gorgeous. That one was. The tombstones and stuff were just absolutely, were just really beautiful. It was very
really ornate and just
yeah.
really... For being as old as they were, they like took a lot of care at these tombstones. They just were so beautiful.
Yeah, they really were. You can tell that they really, this is obviously a fairly heavy tourist destination, so they really keep up with this stuff. And it's also nice to see, respect being given to this, which is nice. And then going in the next day there, we actually went to like one of like the main battlefield area, which is, I didn't realize how large.
Yeah, I really didn't either, because I had only remembered seeing it on, I want to say Ghost Hunters might have gone there when they did a Gettysburg episode, and I just remembered the name, because it's a fun name, Devil's Den.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh yeah, we need to go to this. It's like a cool rocky thing. Yeah. It's a cool rocky thing surrounded by more rocky things and huge fields of rocky things.
Yeah.
It was this huge, beautiful, and I'm sure he'll put some pictures in
so
here
if you're watching
so
the video
see.
for him, I'll put some pictures in, yeah.
Just beautiful and just eerie. Like you walk on that land and you just feel.
You do. There is a certain
sense of something,
but it wasn't a bad sense at all. Like
no.
It was like this, and maybe it's because the war was won, and stuff like that. But it didn't feel heavy. It felt light. All of it kind of felt almost like how you go when you go to cemeteries, that peaceful calm, just kind of, And then it's weird too to feel that way because there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
At this, not when we went to the cemetery the day before and that, but there was a lot of people when we went to Devil's Den and around there because there's like this castle area that was up on a hill. It was like a little fort or something.
Yeah.
And there's so much violence and stuff there, but like, yeah, it did have a certain feel to it. And it was just so sprawling. You could just see for like miles on top of these hills, and it was just, it's really cool. One of the most eerie things that I think we experienced the whole time there, just like the atmosphere of it, was when we were driving to the first ghost hunt of the night, which we went to a schoolhouse. I don't remember. Do you remember the name of the schoolhouse?
I do not.
Yeah, I don't remember the name.
Schoolhouse, and it was a hospital.
Yeah, everything there was.
Everything was a hospital. Basically, if you had a structure that had a roof on it, it was a hospital.
Yeah, they probably fixed someone up in there or tried. But yeah, driving to the schoolhouse, because we had to drive through like the battlefield section to get there, and it was raining and kind of stormy out, and it was just so eerie, like looking at the fields with like when it's storming and raining.
Because they have like these fences on the fields that are like these wood structures that are kind of like this.
Yeah, like
crisscrossed all over the place, and it's so pretty to see them because they're just these jagged things going up the road, and the rain's falling on it, and it was just all spooky and just it was a little misty, like little fog going. It was really eerie to drive through for sure.
It was quite eerie, yeah. But I was super into it. It was really
I really liked it too. It kind of like added to the atmosphere because we were going on a ghost hunt and everything.
And I have footage of the drive there too. So if you watch the Gettysburg ghost hunt video on our YouTube page, you'll be able to see some of that. Now for the ghost hunt itself, now again we talk about it in the video, but we'll talk about it a little more in depth here, I suppose. It was fun. It was $55 a person.
Yeah.
And you get to go to 2 locations. Now, from my understanding, is locations are always like changing. They must have a few locations, and they like kind of rotate them by the night.
Yeah.
You can call ahead, and they should tell you the locations. Although I believe one of the locations, because we did that, we called ahead, but she told us we were going to a school, and I think she said some kind of barn. Is what they told us on the phone. Is what she thought.
Oh, yeah. She said, yeah.
But the school we went to, but the other one was like this old-timey photo shop that basically some guy had his jaw blown off and was brought into the place, and he was already dead before he got there, but then his wife came in, or his girlfriend, I think. It was like his
fiance. Yeah.
And she was so stricken with grief that she became a nun. And,
like you do.
And now she haunts the place too. She didn't die there. She died, who knows where, but she now haunts the place. It felt like on the ghost tour, like they were really just kind of like, oh, this place is haunted because it's in Gettysburg. I mean, probably. But it was like they just could find any building that people would let them in, and they were like, this is haunted, go explore it.
Yeah, that one seemed questionable. Like the schoolhouse, I kind of was like, okay, this one seems a little bit more legit. But yeah, when we got to the second location, like first off, he warns us and says the wiring in this building is really bad. So probably your K2s and everything will probably go off for no reason whatsoever. And it's probably not ghosts. It's probably electrical things. And you'll probably see it in the video. There is a point where I have two K2s sitting next to each other and they're just going off. But it seemed like it was such a pattern that I'm pretty sure that it was electrical in some way, shape, or form.
I have no doubt in my mind that was electrical. And then so we had and they're public hunts as well, and public ghost hunts are always really annoying because you just don't know the public that will be there.
The public that will be there.
Most of them are okay, and none of them are bad, but yeah, there was a guy, and we mentioned the video too, he kept playing music, because, and we can elaborate a little more because I cut a lot out of the video, because there's just so much just annoying things that were going on that I just didn't want to actually be in the actual video. But the tour guide, which he wouldn't let us film because I actually kind of wanted to film when he was talking, but I wasn't filming yet, but he yelled at someone that was filming. Well, I don't know if he yelled at, but he asked her to stop recording.
Yeah.
And I mean, it makes sense.
Was weird, but...
Well, I mean, it makes sense because, I mean, they're for profit. So they're getting paid. They don't want you recording them so people can just go see the stories online.
That's true.
I'm sure that's why he asked her to stop recording. It's like, really, though? I mean, especially for a ghost hunt, because you're really paying to get to the location and ghost hunt, because it was basically just, it wasn't a tour, it was like, these are what's happened. But one of the things he said is that someone at one point had played like old-timey like children's songs, and that created some kind of activity. So throughout almost the entire hour and a half long investigation, this guy just played random kid songs. Now, not old-timey.
No, he started off with frickin' Let It Go. And then Baby Shark. And then, like, a bunch of other things. Like, I think there might have been the Wiggles in there at one point. And I'm like... And not at, like, regular volume. Like,
very
full volume.
Now, mind you, the schoolhouse only had about, I'd say, 3 rooms. There was the main one... Well, technically 4. One is super tiny, but so there's like 4 rooms. But it was very all close together, very small. And so you could hear it ringing, going throughout the whole place. And like I couldn't even record a lot of things on my camera because copyrighted music.
Yeah.
So I had to be kind of careful on what I included and stuff in there. But he thankfully did not do that in the second place. But the second place was even smaller. It was 2 rooms, literally 2 rooms.
It was my main thing that if these people happen to be watching it, and I am going to mention this and give them a review and things like that, if you have 12 people crammed into a teeny tiny room, maybe reconsider having all 12 people at one location. If you're going to do 2 locations, maybe split them up, and then halfway through the night, have 6 people at one location, 6 people at the other. Halfway through the night, you switch.
So $55 a person, I don't feel like that's unreasonable to have 2 tour guides.
Yeah.
To have 1 person each location, have 6 people each, that would have been so much better.
Right.
And then you're still making a good profit, you know. But I mean, whatever. It is what it is. We still had a fun time, and we didn't get no evidence. So spoiler, if you haven't watched that video yet, watch it for aesthetics. It's a shorter one. It's a shorter one because, like I said, I really cut a lot out because there's a couple things I heard even, but there's so much talking. I'm like, I can't say with any confidence at all that it was a ghost or something other than just someone in another room. So I just basically, anything I heard that might have been something, I didn't even give it a thought. And I'm like, I can't, I don't have faith at all to say that this is anything. But still, like, you know, if you're interested in doing that kind of thing, you know, I mean, it'd still probably be a fun time to go and do it. Just know if you're like a serious ghost hunter, I mean, because I guess that's the thing, which is hilarious to me.
Professional. It's professional.
Throw me in the well.
Because I always like on the shows when they say they're a paranormal enthusiast, meaning they've only been to like a couple places. And then there's the professional who's got like a t-shirt that says, you know, I'm a part of a group or whatever. And it's
just so hilarious.
it's like, that doesn't make you a professional because you got your name printed on a shirt. Like,
yeah, it's you meet so many interesting people too in the paranormal field. But one cool thing about Gettysburg is like everyone, like all you have to do is just talk about. You just mention ghost, and people just start telling you ghost stories. Like everyone seems to have a ghost story.
We were at a winery, and the girl starts talking about like all this ghost stuff, and we're just like, "Oh, do tell." We're just like, okay.
And almost everywhere you go, because I mean, they know it's a tourist thing, and like so many people there are there for ghost hunting. That's like you basically by day you're going to the shops and getting your drinky drinks, your wine tour, and then at night most people are doing a ghost tour. Like there were so many ghost tours, and like it was raining. It was raining when we were there, like fairly hard, and there was tons of tours just walking around.
Yeah, just walking. Somebody without any umbrellas or anything. Yeah. They're just walking. I'm like,
and it says rain or shine right on the site. So if you book it, don't worry about it getting canceled. You'll just get wet. So bring an umbrella. But and they were dressed. A lot of them dress up in like little period clothing and stuff like that, which is cute. I also like that at night. A lot of the houses, and I don't know if it's like the houses that have like stories behind them. So maybe the paranormal groups did that, but they had like those light bulbs that made them look like flickering lanterns.
Yeah, I noticed that cool. A few places had that. Yeah,
because it was like midnight by the time we got done. It was a little after midnight by the time we got done to drive back home. You know, we had to drive through the actual town of Gettysburg to get back to the hotel, and it was just cool to kind of drive through.
Yeah.
And there was there was a really cool antiques weapon place, which everything was freaking expensive there, but I really wanted things.
That place was definitely haunted. I walked in there and my head was pounding. I'm like, there's so much dead things in here.
There's all these relics. There's sword. I mean, it has a lot of
bullets, just tons of stuff.
Yeah, it's found at the battlefields and stuff. So, if you're interested in history of the paranormal, Gettysburg is obviously a must-do. I feel like that's pretty well known. I don't think you have to have us tell you that Gettysburg's cool to go to.
Yeah.
There's just so many different reasons you might like to go there, but I didn't realize how much of a scene there was for like food and wine and stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
So that's kind of cool too. So there's really just so much to do, and I can't wait to go back and do like a bus tour to like be taken around not just for the ghosts, but like a bus tour for like the daytime to be taken to the battlefields on the bus tour and be like told the different stories, because like driving those battlefields is pretty crazy because there's so many monuments and relics and just things to look at and like really like weird art pieces. Like
some of them were like in the middle of the woods, and they were like facing like the opposite direction. Yeah. So it was like,
and there wasn't like a road on the other side. Yeah. It was just like,
so it was kind of, I think they were kind of representing what people would be doing at that point. Like the one was like, I think he was like a scout, and he was like looking to see if he could see any enemy. So he was hiding in the trees to, but he was just there and he was looking out that way, but you see his back and you're just like, that's a weird place for a sculpture, but okay. And they were in really odd places, and like some of the hills were kind of weird to get up and stuff like that, but
it's a lot of fun just to drive around. They have like signs, and I believe there's like an audio tour you can do as well, which is neat. There's another one that I saw that's only on the weekends for ghost hunting, that is basically these people have, I forget if it's a part of a battlefield, but like their property is supposed to be basically haunted, so you can go there on certain nights during the weekend and just walk this creepy trail. It's called like the haunted trail, but which sounds like something like a Halloween time attraction, but it's just the actual trail that's supposed to be haunted that you walk down and look for ghosts, I guess. So there's just all kinds of attractions like that you can find there, which I found lots of fun, I guess. And they have like things like they have like that restaurant, I forget what it's called, but like it's made like to be like you're eating in like those times and stuff as well.
Yeah, it's like in a house and everything. Yeah,
which is really interesting, and just lots of cool weird little shops and stuff to go to as well, which we didn't get to go to all of them because a lot of things closed there pretty early, which made me sad. Like 5 o'clock, a lot of stuff closed down. And that was like right after we got done with the dinner, so we were like, oh, poop, that sucks. But they have a haunted museum there as well, which we didn't get to go to, but you can get tours of the haunted museum, which has like haunted artifacts in it. So that would be interesting because that's ran by, of course, one of the ghost groups that's in the area and all of that. But And the other cool thing is, too, some of them are closed, and again, it was so short notice, we just kind of had to pick a hotel to stay in. But there's a lot of hotels that are super freaking haunted you can stay in. Oh, wow. Yeah, there's a couple of them that I'm just like, whoa, that looks scary.
Yeah.
And it's just a hotel for people to stay in. There's one that's just right in town there now. It's opening back up, I think, the 1st of July. And it's notorious for being very haunted.
Yeah.
I think it's just called the Gettysburg Hotel, isn't it?
I believe so.
I believe that.
Just
I
smack
believe
dab
that
in like
is,
downtown.
well, yeah, it's just right in the middle of downtown. I do believe that's what it's called. Yep, that's it. Yep, the Gettysburg Hotel is what it's called.
Okay.
So that place, when it opens back up, if you want someplace that's just terrifying looking to stay at, in a good way, go there. And I just love how they have like a Gettysburg battlefield resort. It's like it's just a resort.
Oh yeah, it was like a trailer park or like a campground,
Yeah.
and it was called the Gettysburg Resort. And I'm like, is it though? Not really.
This one was the Federal Point Inn. This was the one we passed a couple times. That one.
That looked like
scary.
A creepy, like insane asylum or something.
It really, it does. It gives me like Randolph County vibes, like Madison Seminary or something when I look at it. Yeah, so yeah, we gotta stay at one of those places when we go back and just really just be terrified.
How'd you sleep? I didn't.
I didn't because the ghosts were touching me.
Because there's a ghost that keeps turning the sink on or something stupid like that. Yeah,
that's just
keeps playing with my phone because it's never seen a cell phone before.
So, yeah. All in all, we had a really good time at Gettysburg. We just wished we were there for a little bit longer, but we do plan on going back.
Yes.
So make sure you are subscribed to this podcast or subscribe to the channel. So when we eventually do go back, you see that. And we also are going to be doing, of course, a lot more haunted episodes, a lot more foodie stuff, haunted house reviews, like Halloween time, all that kind of stuff. You can expect to be seeing plenty of that on the channel here. There's tons of other content for you to go listen to and look at and stuff like that as well. But I think that does it for this little episode on Gettysburg. We just kind of wanted to talk about our little day trip. And, thank you very much for listening and watching, and we'll see you in the next.
Bye.